So the Nashville and Dallas game have just finished, and I'm actually wearing this yellow t-shirt because originally I was going to wear my Nashville SC t-shirt, but unfortunately since that is in the wash, this is basically my alternative, and that this yellow t-shirt pretty much just match the same color of home kit that they wear in this game against FC Dallas. But in many ways, what a win this was for Nashville SC as they got a 3-0 win against FC Dallas. And besides the performance last game where they were able to win 3-1 against the Houston Dynamo on the road, and earlier this season where they were able to win 4-2 against Atlanta United at home, I think this is probably one of the best performances we have ever seen from Nashville. Now, in the first half, and the first thing I want to kind of mention is that it was pretty clear that the football lines was clearly visible and that they were basically overlapping the soccer dimension. And, this is kind of unfortunate for Nashville, and certainly going to be a little bit unfortunate for Nashville fans or any fans that watch Nashville SC game playing at home, because anytime when you are basically sharing a tenant with an NFL team, which Nashville SC is sharing Nissan Stadium with the Tennessee Titans, you're going to unfortunately have this issue where football lines sometime will be overlapping the soccer dimension, and that it just feels like the Nissan Stadium grounds crew, they kind of feel like they were a little bit lazy and don't want to kind of just repaint the lines and get ready for that field for the Tennessee Titans to play every Sunday. So they basically just kind of leave it like that, and it is. I mean, for me, it's not really a big problem for me, and that, since I went to a lot of these lower league games and watched these games at a high school football stadium where I always have to deal with these football lines unfortunately overlapping the soccer dimension, again, this shouldn't be as much of a problem. But I'm pretty sure for most people, they will feel like it's a little bit of a nuance, the fact that this is an issue, and that some would say that this is kind of a little bit ridiculous. The fact that, 20 years ago in MLS, this might be a thing that is kind of unfortunate to see, but 20 years later, it feels like we are still in the same stage where we're dealing with this kind of issue. But as I said, the good news for Nashville is that they are going to get their own stadium in a couple of years, and that there shouldn't be any concern once they get that soccer-specific stadium down near the fairgrounds. Now, in the first half, and 3 minutes into this game, Jimmy Mara actually denied Denladi, who actually went through on goal. And I thought Nashville, they looked like they were in complete control of this game. And that Dallas, they barely had any possession in the Nashville half for the first 15 minutes of this game. And all that control that Nashville had in the first half paid off in the 18th minute as they took a 1-0 lead in this game from Randall Leao and Jones. And while this one was deflected, and that it definitely fooled Jimmy Mara with the fact that this one was deflected off of one of his defender, nevertheless, this was definitely a great goal that Randall Leao scored. And that, again, Nashville, with the way that they dominate throughout the first 15 minutes of the game, it was inevitable that they were going to get the opening goal. And that partially why I said that Dallas had barely had any possession in the Nashville half, or really threatened the Nashville defense at all, is because they were playing it way too safe on the attack. Like, there's just way too many sideways passing, way too many passing at the back, and not enough where they decide to take some risk and play the through ball to cut through that Nashville defense. And even when they try to do it, they just plays it very badly, where this Nashville defense didn't really have any trouble in terms of dealing with Dallas attack throughout the first half. And that Nashville almost made it 2-0 right on the stroke of halftime. Again, Denladi looked like he was going to make amends of his earlier miss, as he had a good chance from about 14 yards out, but unable to put that one away, as Nashville would head to halftime with a 1-0 lead. Now, heading into the second half, whatever Luchi Gonzalez said at halftime clearly have rallied up this team, because I thought in the second half, Dallas, they looked like they were a completely new team, and that they definitely started to really pressure Nashville. Brian Acosta had a chance to hit the equalizer in the 56th minute, but unfortunately missed it wide. Before Ferreira, after a beautiful ball that was delivered into the box, he couldn't quite hit it on the volley, defintely to put it into the back of net and instead hits it in the side netting. But you can definitely see Dallas was getting chances and they were closing in off that equalizer that they were searching for. And then this looked like it was going to be one of those game again for Nashville where they're just going to sit back and defend and hopefully hold all the pressure that Dallas puts on them and able to walk away with a 1-0 victory. The thing is, this was not that kind of a game, because in the 73rd minute, remember how in the preview I was saying that there's a chance that their new designated player Kadich was going to potentially make an appearance in this game. Well, he did make an appearance in this game and came off the bench in the 63rd minute, and it only took less than 10 minutes for him to score his first ever goal in MLS, as he was able to score from Daniel Lovitz. And not only the fact that this was just completely against the run of play, but this, like the first Nashville goal, came off because of a deflection off of one of the Nashville defender, or not a Nashville defender, but more like one of the Dallas defender, and that it completely fooled Jimmy Mara with the way that it ricochet off of one of his defender. But either way, Nashville, they don't care whatsoever, and that they definitely felt like fortune was definitely on their hand. And just like that, they were up 2-0 in this game, and that really was a backbreaker for Dallas, because after this goal, you can clearly see the momentum swing all the way back to Nashville, and they were hungry to try to get that third goal in the 77th minute when Jimmy Mara absolutely robbed Daniel Rios, who I feel like he should have scored that one from 4 yards out. Like, the fact that he was just completely unmarked in the 4-yard area and basically they have a chance of a free header to basically put this game to bed. Yeah, that's the one that he definitely wanted to have back, and that Jimmy Mara, absolutely amazing save to able to just keep his team with a slight hope in the last 13 minutes of the game and keep this one at 2-0. But fortunately for Rios, he would make amends of his shocking miss in the 77th minute, when 11 minutes later he would score from Randall Leal, and this is an absolute filthy of a goal that Daniel Rios scored. I mean, he basically did a crossover on Ziegler, and that Ziegler basically went down like a sack of potato because of that crossover, and Rios basically curls that one into the back of the net. And yeah, I also wrote Rios might have just ended Ziegler's career, because it looked like he really did. I mean, anytime when you got crossover like that, that is something that if you're the victim, and in this case Rito Ziegler, he definitely does not want to look back at tape of this moment after the game. But in many ways, this was the goal that put the game away for Nashville, as the shots in this game, 12 shots compared to 11 that Dallas had, 6 shots on goal compared to 2 that Dallas had, 6 shots off target for both of these teams, no shot that was blocked compared to 3 that Dallas had, and possession-wise, 57% possession compared to 42% possession for Nashville. And as I said, Nashville, for these last couple of games, they have definitely looked like a team that is going to make the playoffs, and that if Gary Smith's team can continue to play like this and maybe even get 1 or 2 more victory, I think they are going to make the playoffs, and they only will become the 5th expansion team to ever make the playoffs in their expansion season. And for a team that a lot of people, including myself, thought that this was going to be the worst team in the Western Conference, well, now they're in the Eastern Conference, which we thought that they were probably going to be one of the worst team in the Eastern Conference. Boy, were we proven wrong with the way that they have just exceeded every expectation that I think even their fans have set coming into this inaugural season. But for Dallas, this is definitely really concerning, and it's not just the fact that the woes continue for this team, but the way that they have only got 1 win out of their last 6 games, and knowing the fact that this is kind of a time you just cannot afford to start to go on a cold streak, because right now they're currently sitting in 6th in the Western Conference, but there is a couple of teams that is right behind them, and they are hungry to try to take their spot. And as I said many times before, when you go on a cold streak, especially during this shortened season, it doesn't take a lot, but you could really find yourself tumbling down the Western Conference. And right now, if Dallas does not pick it up, they're going to find themselves tumbling down the Western Conference, and that even if we're going to go with a points per game system, if Dallas doesn't pick it up, their points per game ratio is going to drop, and it's going to drop in a way where they could actually miss the playoffs if they're not able to pick up points in these next couple of games. But yeah, there you have it. That is pretty much it for the review of this game. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of this game? And as always, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And yeah, I of course will see you guys next time, and I'll be back tomorrow to do a news of the week video.